Welcome everybody. I hope you're all having a fabulous Friday. We are, I better plunge this a little deeper, she says. It's as deep as I can go, I guess. I'm rough cutting these boards off here to length. We're building a really cool river table. I'm just basically taking off some of the scrap. This isn't a super accurate cut, but this is, give or take, it's going to be accurate within 1/8 of an inch, and then we'll be trimming this significantly down from here. Well, I'll get that with the Sawzall in a second, or there we are. All right. That's some beautiful wood. Wow, that is hardwood. For one, I'll tell you, you shouldn't probably be making cuts like this with a Diablo saw blade because these Diablos are thin and they kind of warp. So I have to kind of plunge it a little better. Didn't think I'd need to use something this large, but every once in a while you just have to do the not lazy way, I guess. I was trying to get it done with my worm drive, but I don't want a lot of loose stuff on it, and I really don't want like a sharp line. I want it to kind of slowly and carefully burn into that. Just gotta soften some of those lines just a little bit. This is gonna be a beautiful table when we're done. This, I don't want it to look really broken. I don't mind feathering. I don't mind chipping. I want it to be somewhat soft and natural looking. That's like really punky, like just dead wood. You could dig it out with your fingers. So we can harden it up with epoxy somewhat, but I want pretty stable stuff in here, and I want that to look natural, not chipped out where it's missing. Oh, that's good. That's some nice wood right there. Man, I hope you guys can tell how much it is like one of the best feeling, smoothest tables for a table edge. See, you can kind of see the shaping wheel, the marks on it, and I don't want those on there, so I'm sanding it out with 320 here. I don't know, what do y'all think? I think that turned out pretty dang good. Plank. I know, is that Jeanette? Jeanette said that? Sorry, Jeanette, I am pretty, I got made fun of by a customer because I had flip-flops, and if you get in on close on them, I just got a pedicure, so there you go, my little girl. I let her do what she wants with my shoes. So if there's any creeper truck drivers out there that want to do whatever you do to my shit foot pictures, stop by and buy epoxy too. So you can't just creep for free. So hope you guys are having a good Friday. We are kind of coming up on our final days of prep on one of our funnest pieces we've been doing in a long time. I hope you guys can see this, but this is just a beautiful plank that we have that we're making a river table out of. But what I'm doing is I'm doing all my prep of my substrate first. These pieces are going to be set in our casting form, and I want them all sealed up. I'm being a little different with them. I'm going to be decorating them a bit. I am wearing my safety sandals, so I better not spill anything on my beautifully done pedicure that my little girl did. So, all right now I'm just sealing the top, but then I hope you guys can see this. Like, look at the little fracturing. This is what we're really targeting. You have a ton. This is really old wood, so it's really cracked up in here, and I love that. I mean, I think that's actually the beauty of it, but I'm wanting to seal this so that when I fill those little fractures with blue, it doesn't bleed into the wood around it. So just taking my time really working the epoxy in. I don't want any excess on here, so I'll be coming back and forth over this and working it until it's not dry, because it's obviously newly mixed wet epoxy, but you don't want any just standing epoxy on there for no reason, because remember, we're just sealing this piece. So then you'll get much less air bubbles coming out into your casting epoxy as you start casting this. How is everyone today? Everybody having a good Friday? And like I say, we are not looking for excess, which is why I'm happy to pull this all the way to 0 so you have no excess standing on here. You can use a putty knife, a squeegee, but I try to tell people to be careful if you're using a squeegee or a putty knife, because sometimes, like, I'll have a tendency to pull the epoxy off, not really leave it coated long enough to really soak. So I definitely want to keep working in whatever I can work into this. I want to work into this. And then I'm just keeping my little cross roller here just to soak up any little, wet areas or whatnot. And again, guys, I'm not in any hurry. We got to take our time making sure we don't have any drips. I don't want to fill these little fractures either. Look at down here. This is just too beautiful. I hope you can see this in the lighting, but man, this is so cracked up. Now we're actually casting, this is going to be the inside of the river, and the outside's just about the same. That's going to be the outside, but we're going to do this as a live edge table, and it's got just as nice a fracturing. Now, I don't want any standing epoxy, so you notice I am cross-rolling this, just trying to pull any of the excess. If you notice where it's really glossy, I do not need it like that, so. Oh, now that's really drying. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's getting down to where it's really soaked in a lot of this epoxy, and I love that. That's really important to get to this phase here. That's perfect. Coming back and back rolling this. You notice it's actually drying up. And remember, it's all about these edges. They just have to be really perfect, because I want this to be a very nice finished live edge. Super smooth. So it's going to be a couple steps here, but if you're patient, this will turn out amazing. There we are. Got one clamp. Just looking for all our fractures. Ooh, that's a huge one here. Yeah, and like I say, I just want this. Look at that. That's going to be beautiful now. Way easier to fix. Like I say, to get this done correctly and not fast takes a little bit of time. A lot of people will be pretty unrealistic too. So if you're bidding a river table, make sure you just let them know. I mean, to do things right, if you want this to look really clean, it may take a minute to really stabilize everything. I'm wanting this pretty damn straight, and I don't want anything loose and like sagging and flopping away from each other, so. I might try to adjust this a little bit because I notice I'm clamping this piece up, but it's kind of slipped out to the side a little. So I may have to clamp it together. This just takes a little bit of common sense and just effort, guys. Oh, there we are. That actually way better than just forcing the piece in. Now I won't have a big unsightly step. This was coming up and it just wasn't flush. It was coming at this. It's like a little underbite there, so here we are. Okay, looks kind of wonky, guys, but if I wasn't to leave it looking a little wonky with some clamps on it, I have one more clamp I'm going to throw on a spot there. But if you don't take your time to do this part, remember, it's going to be very difficult later. So make sure that our final, yeah, we don't have a long ways to go here either. You don't want to push something so hard in one spot either that it forces like something to be way off somewhere else either. So always remember that. Oh, see? I shouldn't have took that off. That's better. This whole crack is all kind of together, so I'm wanting to be pretty thoughtful how I sew it back together. My $2 Harbor Freight clamps. Oh, there we are. There we are. That's looking good. It's looking really good. Is that? Are y'all happy out there? Who's having a good Friday? Who's having a bad Friday? And if you are, what can we do about it? Okay, I'm thinking that's pretty clean. Now I'll just look at my end. You know what? I think that's... You know, I always say this, but overnight. The reason I like to say overnight is very commonly that's enough time for a full cure to take place. So it's not the only way to do something, but often that's the easiest way is just let it cure till, don't be in a rush to get back on it. Take your time. Let the product cure. This is a little more uneven than some of the, there's quite a bit of, the beauty is the busted up pieces though. I mean, really, you want the cracks in these pieces and then just take the time and spend the time that it's going to take to get things like release that a little. Now that's way back together, much better than it was. The final piece. It's the final countdown. Now I don't want to like crush this or bring it back to zero, but close it up so you have a nice level board, and there you are. And that, even the tiny little bit of epoxy that's in there, I'll probably take my time to drip a little more epoxy into some of those fractures, but I'm not going to go overboard because that's very strong what we already have on here, and it's definitely going to be adequate. So there's not a huge need for a lot more product. It's very unlikely any of this could even move, even if we wanted it to when we pull these clamps off. Just let it go through because it's still connected to anything it needs to. Now I'm just going to take my roller again and make sure, absolutely sure, that there's not a bunch of excess up on top of the wood there. So you want that to just be not dry, but you don't want a large puddle on top. And as fun as it would be to just keep messing with this, I don't want to mess it up, so I think I'm going to have to call that a day, guys. So, but that is beautiful.
You did all this. Why didn't you ask me for help?
There it is. Look at negative pressure in there, bro. Oh, like, what are we looking for? So, negative pressure. And depending on your barometric pressure here, that's going to always change as to the maximum you can even pull negative pressure. So it's probably going to stop around 20 or a little less or a little more, depending on what it is today.
How long do you wait? Oh yeah.
You know, I always like to keep weights around when I'm building a table because you just never know when you're just wanting to get swole biceps or something. So it's really important just to like leave this there. So when you're just bored and not really doing anything, you just jack a little steel. I'm kidding, it's holding my blanket just in case. These were very flat. I did notice the end of that one was kind of milled a little incorrectly and planed a little incorrectly. So it's a little thicker, but for the most part, these are very flat and laying just about perfect. So here's to nothing. Be patient and slow with this process because we're not trying to break any world records. We're just sealing this piece in. Biggest problem I see in a lot of these instances right now is people just in too much of a hurry. And when I say people, sometimes I'm looking at myself. Okay. Oh, pour a little bit there. This is a casting resin piece, and instead of torching this and getting it hot, let as many of the air bubbles escape on their own at a low temp as possible. So spend your time, maybe even spray alcohol. Most likely that's what I'm going to do, to let that work into the pieces, work into all the little fractures on your piece, and cure nice and slow, releasing air naturally. And that's going to be a lot better than trying to force all the air out really quickly with some heat. So it'll give you a way better, clearer top too. The other thing happens is if I was to overheat this right now and kind of heat it up with a torch, it can actually cure in an expanded form because it gets warm when you torch it. And when that gets cured in that expanded form, just like ice, when it freezes, it gets bigger. Well, most objects, again, as they get hot, they expand. So you wouldn't want hot resin going into the side of a plank that's exactly 68 degrees and then shrinking back. You can get warping and different things. So I know that's kind of a little stupid detail people don't explain, but just controlling the temperature of your resin, whatever you're casting with, is super important. And if you learn to do that, it'll make your projects just so simple. But you guys don't want to share that, so don't torch it. Spray alcohol, keep really low temperatures. Now this is going to become a smoked gray, almost tinted, but I didn't want to do that on the first level. So like what I'm saying is I'm going to spray alcohol first. Okay. Like I said, this is just 99% isopropyl. Evaporation, whenever something evaporates, it creates a cooling effect, so don't be afraid to spray your alcohol. It is going to turn out looking really good with these live edges and everything. Ooh, that's gonna be gorgeous. Like I say, we're going for a smoky look. I want to pour nice and slow, just give it time to settle to where it needs to be. I'm not in any race here. When you're pouring casting resin, remember, be very patient with it. Let it kind of find its level. And I really thought it was important to layer this because I wanted to get that smoke look just perfect. Give it time to flow. Working on this edge, and the edge has a ton of cracking in it. I don't know if you can see all these cracks here, but not just the big cracks here that you see going, obviously through the whole top, but there's a lot of checking and cracking here. I wonder if I might actually be able to get some better light on this too, but that's what we're going to start filling. Not only so this stays stable throughout the rest of the table building process, but I really want this filled. Oh, thank you so much. I really want this filled too, so it's smooth, because we're doing a live edge dining table, and you can't have sharp stuff like this to catch your arm on or anything like that. So we'll get to work. And so as you see, I've mixed our non-sag epoxy here, like peanut butter very much. Very strong, very awesome way to fill your voids in here. One thing you'll see I did too is the planks that I'm filling the voids on, they're already sealed with epoxy. You can see they're all shiny, and the reason being is I don't want this to just absorb into the pores of the wood and be smearing black everywhere. Otherwise you'd be staining a lot of the open wood pores and whatnot, and this would look very smeared the whole top. I want this to be sealed and this to be sealed on the sides of the fracture, so I can have a black fracture that's kept really crisp. So if you want everything to be really crisp, make sure you're thoughtful about that and seal your wood first. So here we are about to go to work. What would you guys rather see on our channel? If you guys tune in, what do you see when you tune in and see Levi that disappoints you, or that you're like, damn, okay, I'll go back to this channel? What would you like to learn from me? What is there that I can teach you or talk to you about that adds value to your life? Okay, like I say, very small amount that I'm mixing here because I'm not really trying to move a long ways. I want to get a process down and make sure that I'm doing this very accurately first. So accuracy is important, so test your process. As I say, I like to go to a plastic putty knife a lot of times. I'll use multiples. Like I say, you're trying to contour this, filling your voids, and creating something that is not a sharp, something that a customer could cut their arm open on or something. And we're wanting all the excess off. So take your time working the actual wall epoxy into the substrate first, so you can deal with any little air bubbles or anything like that. This isn't something you want to do where you're just moving really fast. You really see this fracture coming down through here. I don't want to just wipe it across here. I want to really work that product in to the main fracture and all the little hairline fractures coming out from there, because that's going to look beautiful when we sand this back and all you see is these really crisp black fractures in a live edge top. So, and I loved how this kind of just rotted and then fractured. It was actually so soft you could dig the bark off with your fingers. It was kind of crazy. And I took epoxy and sealed it up really well, and it turned out pretty damn nice. Okay, like I say, don't work fast, work accurately. Bring you guys in to see this up close. Now this was a big open fracture through here, and then down through here we had a lot of like I think you guys are having a hard time basically just because of the light. I think this is basically in a shadow over here. So, but if you see all these cracks up here on top of the table, now they're all going to be like a perfect black epoxy fill. But what I like even more, I don't know if y'all can see it, is these tiny little fractures from when this rotted and dry rotted back and we sealed it. And now as we wipe off all what's smeared on the surface, we'll be able to really carefully polish down into there. You'll have a really clean natural wood piece followed by a really cool black fracture. So there we are. I'll keep working and try to make this gorgeous. So that's what I'm doing down here. As you see, you have some high kickers and stuff. I don't care. I still want to just finish the top. I still have to pour quite a bit more. And this most likely is going to go into, at minimum, a belt sand planer and possibly a CNC planer, but this is going to get some work put into it. So. See all these? I don't know if you can see all this chipping and cracking. There's some really fine cracks in here though too. See that? And these cracks are very deep. So if I fill those with black and then we sand off all the excess, this little patch that's a little hole, that'll be a really clean black spot. And then all these little fractures will be fractured up and out of there. And on the other side, there's a ton of fractures out into the top because this has been so dry rotted, you can't really see, but there's like a lot of vertical like knife cuts in here. So after we clean this all, you should be able to see a really nice like super sharp, lots of little checkered fractured lines on here that are filled with black epoxy. So hopefully that explains.
Yeah, they said they can see it.
Yeah, here's the big one I was showing you guys. And so now I just gotta take my time with this. And sometimes trying to get lighting and stuff on to where you guys see what we're doing is pretty hard. And using your guys' imagination. So that's as good as it gets right there.